I'll just give you an anecdote. I saw the movie Crying Glaciers some time back, and I was on a trip to Switzerland, and I was so inspired by the movie that I went on an 8-hour trek to see that glacier. So that's the kind of inspiration that these kinds of movies give us. I feel like I take away from this short festival, curated festival that we did today, the fact that one sentence, if I may, stood out for me in your movie, and we'll begin with that. And it was a Bangla statement which said, ওই মালটা যদি না ঘুরতো অর্ধেক লোক তো মরেই যেত. So, which is basically summing up the whole movie. And we don't need data. We don't need too much humanizing of data. We really don't need too many scientific inputs to understand what waste recycling is and how it actually supports a whole lot of lives. And that one statement that just did it for me. So, tell us a little bit about how much scientific input went into your movie. Did you find it easy to get to these scientists when you were in the field working with these people, or did you think, no, I'll just go by what Survi just mentioned in the data panel, I'll go with the anecdata?
All the voices that we hear in our film, none of them are scientists. So they are basically people who work in the informal e-waste recycling in West Bengal. So none of them have any formal training in the field. They just kind of learn in the process of it. So when we started the film with a grant that we received from Charles Korea Foundation. They were giving grants to few filmmakers to make films on waste management. And now waste management is a very vast subject. So we wanted to pick and point to a particular aspect of it. So e-waste came to our mind because when we were doing research for the film, we hardly found any audiovisual representation of this topic. And India being such a huge country, we know India generates a huge amount of e-waste on a regular basis. And we don't have, as it is mentioned in the film, that 95% of our entire e-waste is recycled informally. So these facts kind of fascinated us to go deeper into the research, and in the process we found a article by a photo story by Sean Gallagher. It was published on Pulitzer Center, and another NGO called Disha, who used to work closely with these people. I got in touch with them, and those were the primary source of data. And then I went along to the place, I talked to those people, and that's how the whole thing came into place.
So did you in the process have any scientific input from anybody while you were making the movie?
I tried to reach out to people who have worked in e-waste recycling, like the formal sectors of it. I hardly found any people, only Mr. Shashank Dev, who used to work for the NGO, Disha it's called. He gave us some input, but honestly speaking, whatever scientific inputs that I got it from different articles. Few of them were academic articles. Other than that, I did not talk to any scientists. So, yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible? Okay. I'm really fascinated by the fact that, say, how ideas are picked up and, say, an article in a newspaper or a scientific publication inspires a filmmaker or a photographer, and then that translates into another piece of art. And we have two people with us who are practicing researchers. And you took a medium that's film to communicate your research, and you're in the process of doing that. So can you tell a bit about your experience? Tell the audience a bit about what you have been doing, and why did you choose film as a medium for communication?
Hello everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for inviting me and SJAI conference. It will my. I'm genuinely happy to be here. I'm a first year PhD student, and I know it is a very big thing for me to participate in these kind of conferences. So I went to Locarno Film Festival via Swiss Embassy. They have selected us to present India. So when I went to Switzerland, I'll literally tell you the whole uh, scene was like there are narrators, like literally a storytellers who are telling their stories, who are there picking up particular words to describe what they are doing. There were social scientists and other people, and there were me. I was like, how can I define my core science to the people? Like I'm doing spliceosomal complex, I'm doing protein nucleic interaction, so I cannot explain what I am doing exactly. But when I went to there, so there was a Sameer sir that helped me to do some narration kind of thing. They just taught me how I can put this scientific languages into layman to so that the non-science people can understand it. For example, if I'm saying that there is a protein nucleic interaction going on the cell and that can cause a disease, many of the people cannot understand. What if I am say I am a CID? Now I am investigating who is being the here criminal. So I have to find the criminal here, so that the protein will be the criminal. Now I have to check that and put in the jail and put in the jail and have to check that if he is culprit or not. So that kind of thing I'm doing in a science field where I'm investigating science. So this kind of story has been put in my mind by Sameer. Like he, when I was interacting with him, he was like, "How can you put in your story? What is coming in your mind?" So I was like, "Sir, I think this is what I'm come through that I'm like a CID, I'm investigating." And it was like, "Cool, people can understand. Just go for it." So that's how that was what my experience was there, and also the movies, documentaries we have watched there. That was a very learning things, like how this film can be a visualization kind of thing that can help people to understand the science, because no, normal science can be understood by going to the Google and anything, but core science can not be understandable unless and until it was spoken by someone who is doing this. That's what I learned there.
Chandrashi, extending that question to you, what made you apply for such a program and get interested in that?
So, firstly, ma'am, again, thank you so much for this opportunity, because I really feel blessed to share my experience in all the respected delegates and panel members and all the audiences who sitting over here. So coming to your question, most of the things Tanish has already covered. Like I was also a part of that workshop. So basically, again, if you ask me what I'm researching right now, I am a first year PhD student in IIT Delhi under Professor Saurabh Ghosh. If you ask me about my research, I'll directly tell you that, okay, I'm developing a cell layer by layer, differentiating some cells for developing a regenerated model, for developing some osteoarthritis medicine. So it is a very technical term that I'm telling you right now. So by going to Locarno Film Festival from Mr. Sameer, the director of the Off Track movie, the short film, I came to know that I can actually tell it in a very easy way. That is, if you ask me what I'm researching, I can just directly say that I'm developing a regenerative organ that can mimic with the actual organ, basically concentrating on osteoarthritis, so that utilizing a 3D bioprinting method, I am developing a artificial cartilage so that osteoarthritis medicines can be tested on that. Instead of testing it on animals or human trials, first let the trial begin in an artificial cartilage. So I think this is very easy to understand rather than the first one. So that was all about my experience. And another thing that Mr. Sameer, our mentor, he taught us, like in every communication is very much important. Like in a layman way, I have to communicate with the people. So in every sentence, we have to add and, but, and therefore. And is the problem. Sorry, and is the expectation, but is the problem, and therefore is the solution. So whenever we are communicating something, so we have to add this 3 word, and it is mandatory. So that was all about. And just another thing is that I asked Sameer, there is one Mexican short film. I asked Sameer, I'm from India. How can there was no content also, like subcontent was also not there. How can I understand the language? Sameer was like, you have to identify, Google it, each language translate it and you have to understand and you have to tell me what exactly it is. So it was very challenging and it was indeed a like very good experience. So I would really like to thank Swiss Embassy also for this extraordinary opportunity.
No, thank you. And the Samir that both of them are referring to is Samir Angelone, who is the director of the Swiss Film Academy and the curator of the festival in Switzerland. So, what I also wanted to ask Karthik, as a person who's deeply interested in visuals and filmmaking, and you also go around doing these fantastic documentary style films for Monga Bay, India. What do you think is missing from the narrative in science filmmaking in India? And how do you go about picking your subjects and looking at things from the perspective of a filmmaker, if I may call you so?
I think I might not have a a broad view of the entire space, but what I can say is what in some of the films that I see, what I personally feel sometimes goes lacking is it gets categorized into a science film. And I think that itself is a barrier when you start categorizing your film as a science film or an environmental film. Somebody is watching it purely because it's a film. And like, for example, a film like The Body Called Life. Now, it need not fall in any category. If I have a friend of mine who is not interested in science, but even if the person is invited to watch a film, the film is fascinating. The opening shot is so fascinating. Even that same applies to Crying Glacier. So I think as communicators, as filmmakers, I think that's something is something that we need to consciously think about, is not to put ourselves in a category while even thinking of your script, of your idea, and just doing it, keeping the audience in mind and telling the story that you want to say in the first place.
It's the same thing that we are told in newsrooms, right? Don't look at a story as a science story. Look at it as a piece of journalism, and things will fall in place if you bring in science alongside all the other elements that the story needs to pursue. Okay, so coming back to all of you and your experiences as filmmakers, budding filmmakers, what are the kind of subjects in science do you think lend themselves more or beautifully to filmmaking?
Since we are taking science, for example, if we are taking science in our +2, I feel that communication subject is very important, because from a layman time, like from class 11 onwards or from 10 onwards, if we come to know what actually communication is, it is very much important. So a proper subject that is science communication can be implemented.
For me, if I would like to make a film, I would like to make on antibiotic resistant, because I was in my graduation, I was working on antibiotic resistance. So from that time, I was used to go to the villages and collect samples. And what I saw that time, that people in villages are taking antibiotics at any time. Like if they have some cough, they are taking antibiotics. If they have fever, they are taking antibiotics. And that lead to the antibiotic resistance, because you are taking antibiotics again and again. So for me, the main subject will be this antibiotic resistant, to teach people, rural people, how, because every time you don't need antibiotic to treat yourself. There are other medicines also, or you just let your body to be homeostasis. Homeostasis, like you let your body to do healing kind of thing. But because of lack of some education, they don't get it. So I would like to make film on this topic.
Firstly, I must confess that I am not from a science background, and while we were making this film, I had no idea that this would be screened in this festival. Yes, and it could be called environmental film, but again, I agree with Karthik that I also don't agree with categorizing any film into a box. But yeah, I wish to see films which deals with popular science. I would like to see films which are human stories. It needs to have a character, needs to have a story, follow all the tools of narrative filmmaking, but it also should have underlying scientific ideas to communicate. But again, no matter what the idea is, it should satisfy all the tools of filmmaking, and then only it will be accessible to the audience. So, like for example, I'd like to see shows like Cosmos in Indian context. So yeah.
So another question that I had was, many times we feel as journalists, science journalists, that we are looking for a story. We are looking for people to, or experts to corroborate that story or give us valuable inputs for a particular story. We generally end up with one or two experts in that area or discipline, and often are forced to go back repeatedly to them. That may be possible for a text journalism kind of thing, but for films, that's not the case. Globally, we see scientists, like I was talking to about the film on the hunt for ancient DNA. The protagonists there are scientists, and they tell the story, and it's so captivating because it's coming from the mouth of scientists who understand how to explain science in a popular format or contextualize it for people who may not be scientists. Have you had any such? Have you ever tried to get across to scientists and figured that the language that they speak is not something that you are very happy with as a filmmaker?
Honestly speaking, in India, I have not found any such person. I have followed people from US and UK like Neil deGrasse Tyson, Brian Cox, those people. But unfortunately, in India, I have not found any such person. But I heard that there is an event tomorrow where there will be a session with different scientists who are being called as rock stars. So I'm really looking forward to that. Maybe I'll find the person that I'm looking for.
Room full of scientists anyway sitting here. You can tap into some of them.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
So, just as a journalist, for me, one of the best experiences was to attend a conference where there was not a single journalist present there. And there were only researchers talking about tropical biology. And I got so many ideas over there. So I think it's upon visual storytellers and filmmakers also to be present at places where there are researchers and where they are speaking openly about their work, because they are not thinking that it's an idea for you, a potential idea for you. Maybe a 24/7 day in their life itself is a great film for a person who is climbing up a tree and coming down with a katydid or a grasshopper or something. So I think...
Yeah, I absolutely resonate with your what you just said, because that's the exact feeling I'm having right now. Like, this is such a break not to be in a conventional film festival where I usually be, and be among science communicators and journalists, and it's like a breeding ground for ideas for me.
Amazing. So I think we'll also open to the floor, but my final question is, what's the best film? I'm not boxing it under science, but still sciencey film that you've seen or you think and you can recommend to the audience to see, each one of you.
I'm just going out of my science subject. So I'm also a motorsports lover. Like last time I was a national champion in Indian Racing Championship. So it is my passion. So I would like to add that I have watched all the seasons of Fast and the Furious. It is one of my favorite movies. So I would like to emphasize that how the way they're developing the cars, it is really great. So that is also kind of sciencey stuff, we can say, because building up an engine, building up suspensions, nut to nut, it is all based upon science. Mathematicians are required. Different automobile engineers are required. So I would refer Fast and the Furious movies.
Oh, that's a very unusual take, but it's a really good one.
I just wanted to make it a bit innovative, like going away from my line a bit.
For me, it's like I think everyone has watched Pa, Amitabh Bachchan's movie. So that's a very good movie where they have described a neurogenetic disorder where the child start getting aged rapidly. So I will name the disease. It's like Hutchinson-Gilford progeria disease, but it's a kind of progeria where the skin and the neurons are start aging fastly. So that was a good movie where a disorder is explained in a scientifically and a very good manner that people literally understood that this can happen, this is happening, this is happened. And there is one more movie, Fault in Our Stars. There is a book and there is a movie that's also a good movie. And there are many movies on schizophrenia. If today I'll say I have schizophrenia, many people will get that I have some disorder. But if there is a no movie that time, so no, I don't think half of the population can get this what is schizophrenia. For me, these movies are can be helpful.
For me, it would be Theory of Everything. It's a biopic on Stephen Hawking. It was fascinating.
Favorite, I don't actually, I'm blacking out on that, but I can say something recent that there's a film called as Nocturnes that has come out, which is on moths and Indian researchers who are studying moths. And it's a beautiful film with a great sound design. So if anybody gets a chance to watch that, please do. Yeah. How about you? Shubham, would you like to add?
About me? Oh, like I said, I've just seen tons of sciencey movies, and all of them very, very well made. My pick from them was a movie called Eternal You, which we gave the Grand Prix award at the festival this time, and it's about digital afterlife and how people are dealing with avatars of people who are dead, created by AI. And there's an industry out there which is churning out digital afterlife personas and avatars. And I love that movie. I would have given it the Grand Prix. Oh, sorry. We gave it the Best Director at the film festival in Switzerland. So, yeah, that's my favorite.
So, any questions that you have?
I have about 20 stories written by myself about neurological disease, and I wish I can team up with more people who are ready to make movies on them. Well, that's apart. If we are really making a list of some movies, there are two ways. One is the movie is dedicated to that particular theme, like the Theory of Everything. So there is a central theme to that story. Or in Hindi, there was a movie in which Rani Mukherjee acted, Hichki. It is depicting a rare neurological disorder, Tourette syndrome. And then there was Tare Zami Par by Amir Khan, in which a learning disability or dyslexia has been depicted so well. And then my favorite author of clinical tales, Dr. Oliver Sacks, a neurologist who died a few years back. And the movie based on his book Awakenings, which is about Parkinsonism. So there are many examples in which we can go full throttle with the given phenomena, or it can be a small part. Even if it is a small part of the rest of the plot, it gives the message.
I have just a question for Ayush regarding the e-waste film. So there is a music in the movie. So can you just tell me about the thought exactly? What was the thought process when you choose that particular background music?
Are you referring to the music which comes along with the title?
For the whole film. So what was your thought process in your mind when you choose that background music? Thank you.
Correct. So while we were doing research for the film, we went to this place called Mogra Hut, and it's a semi-town, semi-village, semi-town sort of a place. And when we arrived at the platform, on the platform itself, we started seeing signs of e-waste, like it could literally be called an e-waste town. Like people were dealing with e-waste all along, and we wanted to keep the visual as it is, whatever we saw, and the soundscape we kept as natural as we could. Like we could hear the sound of like there's an instrument called shank. I don't know what it's called in English. Yeah, conch. conch shell. Then there was soundscape of azan coming. Then there were kids playing around. Then there was like other household sounds coming on. So we incorporated all of these into our narrative. Other than that, that music which comes on the title, it's basically the only piece of music which we kind of picked up because we show that record. We saw literally a record lying on the floor of the platform and old HMV player. So all those visuals kind of triggered the choice of music. So yeah.
Hi, this one is also for Ayush. So I was wondering because we saw a lot of local folks in your film and it was beautiful. But how do you go about taking their consents and how does that conversation happen with them? Are they aware of what they are a part of?
Yeah. So initially, when we started the research, we went along and asked questions to people who were dealing with e-waste. At first, they were a little apprehensive because we all know that it's an unauthorized business, and so they are a little apprehensive to opening up to us. They think that we are reporters and we are there to reveal some secrets. So they were a little off put, but we started going to them again and again and again. Then we started building a relationship with them, and they also understood, okay, we are not harmful people like journalists. Just joking. So then we kind of built a relationship, and that's when they opened up to us. And also we shot the whole film in iPhone, like literally in this iPhone. So iPhone gives you a advantage that you can really go close to people and people don't notice. People think that you are just clicking photographs, but we were doing our own job. So, and nowadays people think that you are a vlogger or you are a YouTuber. So they take you as granted कि ठीक है ये कुछ नहीं करेगा.
Do they get to see the end product? Did they see the...
Yeah, we went to their village, but I'm still in touch with them. So I keep sharing whenever there's a screening. I keep sharing the updates and everything. And yeah, they are not completely satisfied with the movie because we shot them intensively. But like hardly they are there. Their faces are there in the film. Only the voices. So yeah, they are not that satisfied.
And Ayush, why do you say that you're not a journalist or your work is very different from a journalist, given that you are spotlighting a very important issue in a different format, as bad as a journalist?
I don't think I've never thought about it. So I'll just say what is coming on top of my mind. I think there is a burden of truth on a journalist is higher than a filmmaker. So I kind of hide, I protect myself under that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah. So I think that's how I'm different from a journalist.
Although we would like to not classify these as science films, etc., I think inherently they are. And so, how do these get funded? How are science films funded? I'm just asking as a science institute person, and later we can also talk about collaborating.
I can talk about my film. This particular film was funded by Charles Korea Foundation, which is a architecture foundation. They give grants to multiple films each year under the program Nagari Film Competition. So each year they would pick a topic and they would grant 8 to 10 filmmakers. So you can go to their website and check out. So I was part of that last year. And in India, I don't know of any grant which is like specifically for science films. There are institutions, there are platforms who might give grants that Karthik might be able to tell better. And other than that, there are funds for non-fiction films. There are co-production markets. There are pitching sessions where you can go pitch your film, where funders and co-producers, distributors come and if you're lucky, you get the grant. But the chances are very less. But for the last 5 years, the scene of non-fiction filmmaking, I'm only talking about non-fiction films here. So the things are going a little uphill for non-fiction films, so which is a good thing. So
There are multiple grant calls like Nagari Film Competition. There are similar foundations and groups that fund films. They're seasonal in nature. They would come once or twice a year, and some are specific to science. And apart from that, there are a lot of documentary open calls, and where a lot of filmmakers apply. But nowadays, the trend is also that a filmmaker pairs up with a scientist and applies, and that is really interesting because there's a clear two-channel communication there, and those are increasing day by day. That kind of grants. So as of now, from what I've seen, it's two people who know each other, and then they go and submit their proposal and then get selected. But a lot of filmmakers are also going in the direction of like a participatory filmmaking, where they involve the scientist not just as a subject in the film, but as an active collaborator, and they chronicle their work and the things that they do. But how can that be done better? I think it's a lot of conversation in defining the modalities of how that filming will happen in advance, because just to avoid conflicts that can happen at a later stage.
There are some CSR grants now also that companies are giving out depending on what their idea of science is. But it is upon scientists again to influence that idea. And these are good grants. These are not like very small grants. If something is in line with what the company is thinking or doing in their daily lives, in their work profile, and it matches your thought, there are some grants to be had there as well.
My question is for Ayush. You had mentioned that they were not completely satisfied when they saw the end product. So I'm just wondering, are you ever ethically torn that in future I would like to get their consent before you put it in the public domain ever?
Yeah, we didn't have a legal document getting their consent, but we told them that this is the purpose we are making the film for, and they agreed to it. They knew that if this would come out as a film, they would be part of it, so they consented to that. The part when I actually joked about the fact that they were not satisfied because their faces were not part of the film, only their voices are. And some of them had their images in the beginning of the film. So that's why they were not satisfied. They wanted to see themselves more in the film.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
I cut their part. So.
How do you see the educational films are different from the films you are making, which is based upon science or related to the science? And to Tanisha and Chandrasis, why you the Tanisha explains about DNA protein interactions and all. We have seen the scientist or autobiography or how the scientist has worked. There are several films made in the Western world, but we do not have even a movie about the C.V. Raman. There is this, I guess, on Homi Bhabha and Vikram Sarabhai, there is a series came. But there are a lot of scientists who has done a remarkable job in their scientific field, and there are a lot of memorial lectures, there are a lot of awards has been given in the name throughout India, but they have not been highlighted how the journey of failures become to the success and that. So even if the beautiful mind more about the schizophrenia, but not about the John Nash, how his work has tremendously changed the economic importance and economic theories. So how these kind of short films, instead of those full-fledged movies, can take a break from your film festival experience. Is there anything in the film festivals has spoken where you can pick up the idea and put it in the Indian system? So for collaboration or for making it something like that.
Okay, before you answer, I just want to point you to a movie which is freely available on YouTube. It's called, I don't know what it's called, but it's by Raja Chatterjee, the movie maker. It's on the lives, on the failed lives of Bose, Raman, and Saha, the most celebrated scientists. The fact that some of their early work did not meet the success that it could have. So basically, science failures of all the celebrity scientists that we know of. So watch that, surely.
Uh, if you ask me about how can I interpret that thing, first of all, I'll go to that Sir C.V. Raman part. There are many documentaries are available for C.V. Raman sir, but I don't think many of the people have watched that because it's not the entertainment kind of thing and actions and music. So in Locarno Film Festival, what I have learned is there are two kinds of movie you can make, that is participatory and expository. Participatory is in which you participate in that film and that make the film, and other is expository jahan you can just expose the things or your idea through some other people. So for me, I can apply that thing to the short films. And why short films? Because these films can, it's just a short movie, but it can it can impact on a large population. I cannot make a protein nucleic interaction movie on a of 2.5 hour, what because it will be boring, because some people will like, oh, it has no entertainment or actions. So that's why it's a short movie. And I would like to be part of this. And expository kind of documentary, I can take that for making.
I would just like to add one point. Global Science Club in Switzerland, they actually give the opportunity for normal people also like us to go there. Like since we were lagging a lot of time, we were only there for 5 days to attend the workshop. It was really a very hectic schedule over there. So if a normal people go over there, if they pitch an idea like you did, like just now, they give an actual opportunity and funding too, so that we can build up short films based upon these stories.
Now, coming to your question that you addressed to me, how educational films are different from other science genre films, it depends on your target audience. When we are making educational films, you have a audience, you have a target audience that you want to cater to this number of people. They might be like educational films are directed at like students or scholars or professors. Like for example, I make corporate films for corporations. So we have a particular goal in mind because we have to show that film to potential investors. So the form of the film, the scripting of the film is done accordingly. Now, if you want to cater to a larger audience, and if your like central theme is science, then you have to write the screenplay accordingly, so that you communicate your idea around science, but at the same time you have to, again, like coming back to what I was saying, you have to use the tools of filmmaking, like infusing humor, evoking emotions. All those tools needs to be there so that the audience can connect to it easily. So I think it's important that if we are here to bring science and filmmaking together, we need to understand that what is our target audience is. Accordingly, the form and the script, everything will shape.
Okay, so we'll wind up this discussion. Thank you very much, Chandrashish, Tanisha, and Ayush. Lovely discussion.
Thank you so much.
I hope some people
Thank
get
you so much.
inspired to collaborate with filmmakers to make films, science films, and we'll have more in our next edition of the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.